Palau is one of the world's most climate-vulnerable countries. Yet, despite emitting a negligible amount of global greenhouse gas emissions, Palau continues to lead and prioritize climate action, not only to uphold its commitment under the Paris Agreement, but to maintain the sustainability of its environment and people.
Palau's current NDC targets, of course, is the renewable energy sector for the electricity production is 45% by 2025. The energy efficiency part is 35% by 2025. And if we meet both targets, then we'll be able to lower our emissions, which is the mitigation part, by 22% from the 2005 baseline that we did for the emissions for the electricity sector.
Palau is currently working to enhance its NDC plan to include more information on its emissions from these two sectors. Getting more emission data means Palau will be able to define better informed and realistic targets in the waste and transport sectors.
In terms of enhanced NDCs, it's only going to be added towards the electricity emissions, which is waste and transportation. The original NDCs had the other two sectors, waste and transportation. And the main reason why we're never able to get the baseline for them is we don't have the technical ability to do a baseline for emissions for transportation or emissions for waste. So currently we're working with our consultants to get those baselines. The other thing too is in terms of energy security, food security and water security. So we're thinking about the waste and transportation sector in combination with the energy sector to allow us to become more independent, more sustainable as an island nation. We look at the market now with the cause of the price of the fuel that's coming in, and we are bound by that in terms of the cost of electricity to the customers. And so the more we become energy secure, diversified, we tap into the transportation sector so we don't have to depend so much on the fuel to run our vehicles or our marine vehicles to go out to look at different islands around Palau. Then allow us to be more sustainable. And so that's the goal. The goal is energy security, water security, and food security. And we tap into waste and transportation as the two enhanced ones that are there.
The NDC Hub, through its implementing partner, the Pacific Community, has supported Palau in the development of its energy efficiency regulation, which is an important step towards achieving Palau's NDC target of 35% energy efficiency by 2025. The regulation establishes better standards for energy testing, performance, lighting and labeling of appliances and other equipment imported into and sold in Palau.
The NDC Hub has supported Palau tremendously with their expertise, technical support, guidance. So in terms of the energy efficiency regulations that we put together, that allowed us to get this support. It helped us meet our target of 35% energy efficiency by 2050. But at the same time, the major benefit is that it benefits the individual households. When you don't use a lot of electricity because you have a stove or icebox that now can run in less energy, instead of using 10 kilowatts a day, now you're using 5, that's a savings to the individual. We're trying to work with all the local importers, businesses, to get them to import energy efficiency appliances, icebox, freezers, stoves, and air conditioners. And so air conditioners are also part of it.
In addition to technical and capacity support, the biggest hurdle for Palau is the access to funding to get the best possible technology to help the islands meet its NDC requirements and move it towards a more self-sufficient model, a possible fossil fuel-free nation.
What's the old saying, money talks? There is technology out there. It's just Palau's economy does not allow me to buy it. If somebody is crazy enough to give me $100 million, I can make sure Palau is 100% fossil fuel free. We just don't have the opportunity to get $100 million, right? It's just not available at this time. So in terms of support, the Pacific Islands always talk about financial support is needed to be able to connect the technology to the environment that they're in. So that's the number one thing. How do I deal with bilateral partnerships? How do I deal with international partnerships? Who wants to come and help in the context of saying, let's test this technology, let's test this idea, right? So at the end of the day, it's about finance. Where's the other finance going to come from?
The NDC Hub's role of being a one-stop shop or a resource hub is critical in helping Palau tap into the resources it needs in order to implement its NDC targets.
Everybody knows who the large emitters are. We don't have to say who they are. They're the ones that are not doing the work that they need to be done. So what does the Pacific take a stand on in the context of our size and our need to be able to adapt to climate crisis? Number one, if we meet our NDC targets, it shows that small island nations can do it. It just takes political will, right? Yes, big nations like countries that are 300 million people or 1 billion people, it's a different political will, but it still can be done. They have access to technology, they have access to financing. So if Pacific Island nations can do it in terms of meeting their NDCs, actually say what they're going to do and then actually do it in the international arena, that's not just the moral conscience of the world. It actually says it can be done and you don't have to have any excuses anymore. So what the NDC Hub has done is allowed us to connect, because our Pacific leaders in 2017 says we needed a regional area so that we can tap into it for expertise. So thank goodness for the German government, the Australian government, New Zealand government, and the UK government to initially support it and continue to support it now, so that we can have that expertise that we can tap into it. Individuals want to thrive, they don't want to survive. They want to live with opportunities in their homeland. If my homeland is going to be inundated with salt water, I need to figure out a way how to live above the salt water, on the salt water, or find another environment to live in. But the connections to this environment is very strong. So at the end of the day, benefits have to be about people.